Good evening and welcome to the Moving Home with Charlie weekly workshop with Charlie Lambden and guests. Live at 8 p.m. every Wednesday. This show is here to help all home movers of the UK be better prepared for dealing with the gauntlet that is trying to move home.
Helping make sure everyone has a home.
Whether you're buying, selling or both, it's a live show. So if you have a question about your move, pop it in the live chat. In the meantime, sit back, have a noisy slurp of your drink, and enjoy the show.
Sorry, I can't resist it. Good evening, everybody. It's too hot for a hot drink. I have a cold drink, so I'll slurp that instead. Oh, that's good. Right. Tonight is something I haven't done for a long time, just a plain old Q&A. So if you've got a question, if you're buying or selling, you've got a question about the process, question about the market, anything to do with home buying or selling or renting, for that matter, then please put it in the live chat. If you're watching on X, fantastic. Put it in the, you can live chat me from X. If you're watching on Instagram, you're going to need to come over to YouTube to do the live questions. I can't see those at the same time. And Tina Fey. I completed today, says Tina. Congratulations. Oh my God. How long has that been? How many years has that been, Tina? Could you just remind everybody what your very brief backstory is? Good evening, S. Gilly, Joshua Chaco, who says, thank you for the free gems and also to Stig for the analytics. Yeah, I know. I haven't had a chance to speak to Stig for ages. I need to talk to him. Naid Afzal, hi there. And, oh no, Lisa Redfern says, Lisa Redfern Webb on YouTube says, hello, Charlie. I haven't watched you for ages, as unfortunately, it's always honest but depressing news. Unfortunately, it's honest. Well, if you want some dishonest news about the property market, just go and read anything written by lenders or Rightmove or estate agents, and that'll cheer you up, and it won't be very honest. Piecemeal says, market is stagnant. Not enough properties coming to the market. There's a lot of properties in the market. Had an offer refused on a property that needed full refer. Okay, so you're a buyer. Okay. Right, give me some questions. I'm going to start with this question that I've got on the screen here first. Which was actually a question sent to me on TikTok. And it's Strella Stones on TikTok who says, the bank downvalued the property I'm buying by £50,000. Offer accepted at £455,000. Bank valued it at £405,000. Surveyor thinks price is in range of 425 to 445. What to do? And as you can see there, I replied saying, be grateful they stopped you from massively overpaying, right? Lenders are some of the most optimistic valuers. Although I do hear occasions when lenders valuers come and down value and it makes the agents upset and the sellers upset because the agents and sellers saying if someone's willing to pay it, then that makes it worth it. But as a first-time buyer, the most dangerous, risky thing you can do is overpay. So if you have this situation, it's frustrating because you're excited thinking, obviously going to get accepted, I'm going to buy my home. So it can cause a bit of a delay, but you need to go back to your lender and find out what the deal now is, because you're going to have a larger deposit, assuming the seller accepts a lower price. But as a first-time buyer, you don't want to be fighting to increase the value of the home that you're buying. The agent and the lender and your broker need to talk, and not the lender, obviously, but your broker and agent need to talk and see if you can work out a deal that the seller is happy to go with. But honestly, when you're a first-time buyer and the lender downvalues the property you're buying, you've just been stopped from overpaying. That's what I think anyway. And another question, which is one of the most common questions I get, and it bears repeating often. This was a private message on X. Charlie, random question. How much should you offer below asking price? And how often do houses sell below? Just seen your video on the bar in London. Right. Now, this is a very common question from uninitiated buyers who don't understand how much variation there can be on one property's asking price depending on the seller and the agent who lists it. So it is never advisable to go, oh, X% below or Y% below an asking price. Never, never, never base your offer on a percentage of asking price. You base your offer on the maximum comfortable amount you, in your position, are willing to pay for that property. And maybe that's under asking, maybe it is asking price, maybe it's over asking price. But if you're looking to buy a home, and if you are competing with other buyers, your maximum comfortable price is the price that maximizes the chances of you winning the bid and having your offer accepted without overpaying. Okay, so, and the other thing is that this question, it depends whether you're at the bottom of the market, first time buyer level in a busy market or a rural or a town or freehold or leasehold or country house. It's different every single time. And it's different on every single property. And there is no rule of thumb. You've got to work out your maximum comfortable price for any given particular property and make it. And there really aren't any exceptions to that. Now, I don't have any more questions prepared, so do we have some questions to read out here? Julie McKinnon, is that a question? Selling house with 4 acres, house and land on separate deeds. Do you have a question there? Oh, wow. Daniel Evans says, hello, Charlie. If you were starting a new career at 40, what would you go for? I would go for something that nobody could take away from me. So I might train as a plumber. I might train as a builder. I would get a skill that I know is always going to be in demand that nobody can take away from me. That's what I'd do. Whether or not, and that would include a skill that AI can't take away from me. And again, careers, are you talking about working for an employer or working for yourself? I don't know. But whatever I chose to do, I would use AI on a daily basis to ask it questions about these different options and what I can teach myself from using AI. And I've come across people going, oh, I don't want to use AI. Oh, I'm not interested in that newfangled text nonsense. And people with that attitude are going to get brutally left behind unless they already have an AI-proof career. I mean, there aren't many industries that aren't going to be pretty severely hit by AI, one way or another. I would start, depending on, again, I don't know what your skill set is, Daniel, but of all of the things that I was pretty certain couldn't be replaced by AI, I would look at all of those, see which one I enjoyed the most. Maybe it's something to do with cars. I mean, mechanics are going to be in business for a long time. There are never enough good mechanics. There are never enough good plumbers. There's a massive shortage of builders. If you become a skilled craftsman in building, there is a massive shortage. And those skills are going to be in high demand. So a bit off topic, but I hope that's helpful. Tina Fey, who's just completed today, says, since late 2021, I've been looking after years of redundancy scares, actual redundancy, and bullying solicitors. I got my little house. How does that feel, Tina? How does it feel? Congratulations. Piecemeal says, not a lot coming on where I live in Manchester, Trafford. Okay, I am aware that the Manchester market, especially at first-time buyer level, is a very hot market. And what is coming on tends to be bought quite quickly. I'm aware of that as being one of the markets that's doing quite well. Oh, good question. Julie McKinnon, selling house and 4 acres on separate deeds. If we treat as 2 separate transactions, can we save stamp duty for buyer? Now, you will need to get confirmation from this from your conveyancer. I'm not a conveyancer, so I'm not qualified to answer this question. However, I believe it is possible, yes. If they are two separate deeds, then yes. I imagine get the house on one with lower stamp duty. On the land, just do the maths, right? And check with the lawyers what is legal. But I'm sure there's a way that you can be more efficient with that. It's going to depend on your buyer situation, whether they're buying with a mortgage or not. But definitely worth looking into. Okay, so someone who calls himself Michael Scrote says, Tina Fey, that's great, but the bad news is that it's going down in value by 35%. And of course, he's referring to my predictions of not my expectations on house prices. Now, the point is, Michael, that if Tina has bought a home to live in forever, it doesn't matter what happens to the price, up or down. It makes no difference. She's got a home, and as long as she pays a mortgage on it, it can't be taken away. Oh, here's a good question. Lots of questions. So Christopher Smith on X, I'll come to yours next. Although it looks like it's above my pay grade. I'm going to get onto these as fast as I can. Right. So Arwen the Bard says, any thoughts on how we might explain the current market to a seller who doesn't understand? The property has been on the market since September 2023 and has only reduced by 3% in 21 months. The only way you can communicate the market to that seller is by making an offer. Right? Don't wait. Just ignore the asking price. Make your offer. Now, I'm actually going to read you a story of a seller. And this is incredibly frustrating because these are the kind of sellers who are just a massive waste of time. A massive waste of everyone's time. So this was a message in an estate agency WhatsApp group I have, a best agent estate agency WhatsApp group. They got 5 offers, 2 at 480,000, 2 at 500,000, and 1 at 510,000. So that's an agent doing an outstanding job. 5 offers out of 16 viewings in a short space of time. And the sellers go, no, I want more money. And he's put the agent through the ringer and was never serious about selling. Oh, I'll wait till the market goes up. Agent says, when is that then? Do you know when that's going to happen? No, but there's another house down the road on the market for more money. Yeah, but is it selling, you dummy? No, it's not. Now, I don't want to be casual and cavalier about people's falling house values where they are falling, because that's a horrible, horrible situation to be in. If you are a seller who has the luxury of not having to move, you've got choices, right? You've got options. But if you are a seller who needs to move, maybe there's a divorce, maybe whatever, there's a long list of reasons why people need to or must sell. Then if you're wondering why nothing's selling and everything's sitting on the market not selling, it's because the prices are too high. And if you think to yourself, wow, I know what my house is worth. If you were right, you would be getting offers at the price you think it's worth. You might say, well, I know what I want for my house. Yeah, okay. You want what you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it. And if the market won't pay it, you won't get what you want for your house. Right, next question. Okay, Christopher Smith on X says, good evening, Charlie. I went ahead with the structural engineer and now just waiting for the report. He did phone, however, and said, did you know it's an 80s timber frame house and that I should look into it since some mortgages won't even give you a mortgage, making it harder to sell in future. This is a house we plan on making it a forever home. So would this be an issue for you if you were going through this? I wouldn't take a structural engineer's opinions on what mortgage lenders will and won't lend on. You need to talk to a broker. You need to do research, right? There are certain types of property that certain lenders don't lend on, but other lenders are absolutely fine with it. So do your research and find out. Get precisely what kind of house it is. Talk to your broker. Make sure you have a broker, right? Talk to your broker. Brokers will know the answer to that kind of question, but you've got to get the exact spec of the house to find out whether or not this is a question. But if you're saying it's your forever house, you're not planning to sell it, and you love it, and you want to live there, and you can afford it, and there's nowhere else you want to live, no, that wouldn't stop me buying it. That would not stop me buying it. So Lisa Redfern Webb, who says that she found my honesty disappointing earlier, says, I didn't mean your honesty is depressing. I meant the stupid government haven't and aren't improving the situation for us. You may remember we have a big 5-bedroom detached to sell. Okay, yes. Thank you, Lisa. Sorry. I was only kind of joking around. No, the government aren't improving the situation. You're right. The government is making people's confidence reduce. Unemployment is rising. Everything's kind of moving against you if you're a seller. But I can't remember your details, so Lisa. If you've got any questions about what you're doing, give me an answer. Sorry, just give me a reminder what the question is, because honestly, guys, I know sellers hear me say this, and then they find reasons in their head to ignore what I'm saying. But if you make the marketing price, just disconnect the marketing price from the sale price. The two things are unrelated. The job of your marketing price is to get people through the door. That's it. That's it. The job of the marketing price is to get people through the door. So set your marketing price at a price that's going to get people through the door, and talk to your agent about what that price is. As long as you get competing buyers through the door, they will bid against each other up to whatever the value of the market is going to pay for your home. But sitting there with an optimistic asking price, believing that it's worth it, and wondering why you're not getting any viewings while the market falls away from you potentially, just doesn't make any sense. Interesting question from Jack Pilgrim, another one that might be above my pay grade here. In a recent transaction, we found the hallway and front door were removed without building regs sign off, creating a non-compliant escape route. Under CPR 2008, must this be disclosed to future buyers? I don't know whether the consumer protection regulations requires you to disclose it, because consumer protection regulations tends to apply only to businesses. Must the agent disclose it? Is it material information? If so, yes, it is. So they should disclose it. It sounds like something that could be quite easily rectified, though. So I would talk to someone that might be able to rectify that situation for you. PixelPav says, hi, Charlie. Could you tell us a little bit about share of freehold? We have lots of them in London. Is it worth it? Is it better than a leasehold? Most important thing to understand about share of freehold is it is leasehold. Everyone gets this wrong. Share of freehold is an abbreviation for a leasehold that comes also with a share of the freehold, but it is still a lease. Yes, almost always it's preferable if you're buying a leasehold that it has a share of the freehold with it, because that gives you extra control over certain things. But do not think that when you're buying the share of a freehold, you're not buying a leasehold. You are still buying a leasehold. You're just also going to get a share of the freehold. But the two things are separate. They're separate, and you must understand that, right? There's no such thing as a share of freehold flat. There's no such thing. There is a leasehold flat that also has a share of freehold, but it is a leasehold flat. So when you see share of freehold as a buy, I don't think, yay, it's not leasehold, because that's not the case. But it is preferable. See, this is so Irvin Jaffa. I'm not sort of apologies, I've got it wrong. On YouTube says, Charlie, what is going on with house prices? Everything seems to be at least 10% higher. Are agents pricing or homeowners? Right. I can assure you that everything is not 10% higher. Higher than what? Than when? Than yesterday? Than last year? Than 10 years ago? And when you say everything, do you mean all property on the whole market has gone up 10%? Or do you just mean the houses you're looking at to buy? Because if, and I'm making an assumption here, you're a first-time buyer, but let me know if you're not. If you're a first-time buyer, you are in the most hotly contested and competitive part of the market. And as a first-time buyer, it always feels like prices aren't coming down and everything's flying off the market. It always feels like that. Almost always feels like that. So are agents pricing or homeowners? That's a good question. And it could be either. The sellers are the ones who actually approve or determine the launch price. But whether or not they are led by the agent or themselves, you never know. You've got to look at each situation. It makes no difference whether it's sellers or agents pricing. Agents would like a lower asking price because it means they can sell it. Agents don't like listing properties that they can't sell because they don't make any money from it. So it's generally speaking the homeowners influencing the higher price listing, but agents are reluctant to do it. Aaron says, would you consider buying a property that has added a bathroom but no building control sign off? Renegotiate or walk away? That would depend on a long list of considerations. If I was a cash buyer buying a forever home, I'd be less concerned than if I was buying with a mortgage and planning to move in a few years' time when suddenly I find I can't sell it. Although surveys should uncover that, but it's definitely a negotiation point. But renegotiating, I mean, I'm assuming you've only just discovered this problem. I would get advice from a surveyor, and I would get advice from a mortgage broker if they have any experience of that. Okay. Looking for more questions here. Jon Snow says, the agents appeared to be deluded in regards to valuations and the vendors are dreaming in many cases. I cannot say this often enough, John. No, agents aren't deluded about valuations. Agents are aware they're overvaluing. They have no choice. Because when agents tell the truth to a seller, the seller goes, well, that guy's an idiot. And they don't instruct him. And that agent ends up with no houses to sell. So agents are not deluded. They are frustrated and annoyed that they have no choice but to tell sellers what they want to hear, or at least in the ballpark of what they want to hear, because otherwise those agents get no chance of selling, which is why the agents I advise is don't give a valuation. Just talk about the process of getting the best price. But vendors are dreaming in most cases. That is indeed true. And if they're wondering why now? Why is it only now that vendors are collectively feeling so unfairly done by the market? Well, it's because of the perfect storm of rising ownership costs, because house ownership inflation is going up at 7% a year, rising maintenance and refurbishment costs, much higher interest rates than there were a few years ago, meaning that people's budgets are lower. So people's budgets to buy are lower, and the budgets they're keeping in mind for refurbishing, excuse me, are keeping their bids lower too. So it's not your fault, sellers, that buyers' budgets have come down, but buyers' budgets have come down. G on X says, is it better to rent or invest in a second property whilst we renovate? Wife can be first-time buyer. No, she can't, I'm afraid. Unless she's buying on her own. But if you're a married couple, if either of you isn't a first-time buyer, then you don't get the first-time buyer discount. Generally speaking, I would say rent. Depending on your financial situation, you've got to talk to a mortgage broker. Because, and when you say better, what you mean is which is going to be financially better? Well, you really want flexibility in this situation. You don't know how long your refurbishment, your renovation is going to take. Yes, if you buy another place and live in it, you can hold it as long as you want. But then when you come to sell it, who knows what happens when you come to sell it. I suppose the location, how close it is to the other place, matters. It's an interesting question. But generally speaking, renting is lower risk because you know what your costs are going to be. Glenn Watson says, ask you anything. Do you prefer brown sauce or red sauce on a full English breakfast? Brown sauce it is for me on a full English. Piecemeal. I think you must have asked this question before my rant a minute ago. Yes, about 10 minutes ago. I hope I've answered that question. Prices are too high. Why are agents still overpricing, then having to make the vendor reduce? Because otherwise the agents don't win the business. Hello, Jean-Marc in Bordeaux. Tin Alien or Tina Leon. I don't know which one it is. Are you the Tin Alien or are you Tina Leon? Some people are not serious sellers, just curious and time wasting. And yet if their price is dropping, so too will be the one they're potentially buying. Yes, both correct. Mikey Henderson. Hello, Mikey. New name I don't recognize. Welcome to the channel. Says, I know this is hard to answer, but would you be wary of a leasehold with no management company and no formal arrangement or schedule for works apart from cost apportionment in lease? Also, no sinking fund. I would be wary of all leases. Having no management company may or may not be a bad thing. Who is managing it? Is it is there a share of freehold situation? Is it all the leaseholders together who decide? There are too many questions. I can't answer it really, but I mean, I would be wary. I'd want to know exactly what the circumstances were. I want to find out what happened to the common parts, how it's, you do not want to buy into a nightmare you can't wake up from. So be very, very wary, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it. Just be a stickler for finding out the truth of the situation. And if they're cagey about it, that's a sign that it's not a good situation. Kung Fu Lizard 1. That's a great name if I've ever heard one. Hello, Kung Fu Lizard 1. Any advice for a first-time buyer who's just started looking? Yes. There's a video in the description below called Charlie's 10 Golden Rules for Home Buyers. My first piece of advice is go and watch that. 20 minutes, 10 golden rules will cover almost everything you need to know. But in a nutshell, make sure you go prepared. Be viewing, because if you're not out viewing, you are not a buyer, right? You're standing outside looking through the window if you're not out there viewing, okay? You're not in the game. You're not in the market. So get out and view, but have everything you need ready to proceed so that when you find someone you love and you make your offer gets accepted over the others. Be prepared. Come prepared. Do not walk in like lambs to the slaughter into the estate agents going, hi, we want to buy a home and we haven't got a mortgage yet. Oh, you got an in-house broker. Okay, we'll talk to him. And oh, you got in-house conveyancers. Oh, thank you so much. And you, before you know, you've been stitched up. Be in control of your move is my advice. Choose your professional representation, not too early. Don't actually engage them too early. But when you feel like you're ready to start offering, make sure you got your professionals, your mortgage broker, your conveyancer, and your property search pack provider, which I can do for you. Make sure you got those guys lined up. Tom Young says, Charlie, I rent out a 3-bed semi. I paid £230,000 for it in Derby. Current mortgage, 117. After I pay tax and interest only mortgage. Sorry, after I pay tax and interest only mortgage, I'm actually only making about £150 a month. Is it a good time to sell? If you have the opportunity to sell, I would take the money and run for the hills. I just had an approach yesterday from someone who's just preparing to release an app that is a free app for anyone to put in the details of a property and work out their likely return in the coming years based on lots of checkable, measurable data. And the owner and developer of this app said to me, as you and I both know, it basically no longer pays to be a one-off buy-to-let investor. You don't know that. My app shows that. So I think a good time to sell would have been a couple of years ago. But now would be a better time to sell than waiting. Although I don't know, it's in Derby. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I can't give you any local advice. I don't know how good the market is. I don't know what the rent potential is. I don't know what values are doing in Derby. So you need to get local advice on that. But generally speaking, I think buy-to-let investments when you only have one or two properties is too risky with all the changes coming in the law. Tom, Zoopla valued at 252. Is that a realistic value? No. None of the automatic valuation models are ever. The thing about these things that say that they're giving you a value, it's just a trap for you to put your details in so people can start talking to you. That valuation software cannot smell the inside of your property. It cannot see the view from the property over the neighbor's property. It cannot tell, it doesn't know whether your neighbors are decent, honest, upstanding citizens or whether they are all-night partying, weed smoking nightmares. It doesn't know what the state of decor is. It doesn't know anything about the interior condition of the property. And these things can make a huge difference. All right. So you just have to ignore that. If I was a landlord with a tenanted property and I was thinking about selling it, I would be looking for a local independent agent that managed lots of lettings properties, a local independent owner-managed lettings estate agency who would know lots of landlords and portfolio landlords and say, would any of your clients be interested in buying my property with the tenant in situ? That's what I would do. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not giving anyone advice because that's illegal, right? Everyone's so paranoid about giving advice. That's what I would do in that situation. When selling a house, how much does estate agents usually charge? What they should be charging, if they are any good, is 2%. And if they get you moved quickly and smoothly without a fall through at best market price, they are worth 2% all day long. Unfortunately, almost no agents will achieve that because they will overvalue and lock you into a long-term energy contract and then say, oh, and we'll do it for less than those guys, so we'll go for 1%. I mean, it's down about 1% at the moment, but you cannot run an estate agency on 1% fees and make a good living. You cannot do it. And I would be, to me, it's a red flag when an agent isn't charging a proper fee because it means they don't understand or they're working themselves into the ground or whatever. But, when hiring a one-off professional service, never, ever go cheap. Jean-Marc Bordeaux says, how do I get a bad neighbor out before I want to sell? That's a question I would love to answer with Stiggy and a bottle of whiskey one night. Remind me next time that happens. Lisa Red from Webb says, hi, Charlie. We had 3. So this is your 5-bed house. We had 3 estate agents valuations within 1 week, over a year ago now, at 550, 525, and 500,000. Right. This is an absolute classic nightmare scenario. First of all, could everybody please consider what it means that 3 agents give such different valuations? You're talking plus or minus 5% there, right? What that tells you is what I tell everyone, is that nobody knows. And what it also tells you is they were all overvaluing it because it's been on at 495,000 for over 9 months and no offers. Okay, Lisa, first of all, I don't know. Have you been with the same agent for 9 months? Have they not advised you? Have they given you any advice? Have they been in touch? What have they said? If you don't have a handful of viewings in the first 2 weeks, something is wrong. And you'll get all kinds of stories. Oh, it's the holidays. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, it's the news. Oh, it's the war. Oh, it's and it's all rubbish, right? People don't not buy a house when the right one comes along because of the weather, If you've had no offers, how many viewings is my next question? How many viewings have you had over 9 months? But that tells me what I've always said, which is that larger houses have been overvalued by about 20%. So the least unrealistic valuation you've got there is 500,000. You have wisely gone on below that, and you deserve credit for choosing the agent that gave the lowest valuation. I'm assuming that you did, right? And then credit for pricing it below that. But unfortunately, you've fallen into the trap, which is not your fault at all, of thinking, well, I've been realistic. I've gone with the lowest valuation. What more can I do? And this is why I say overvaluing is killing the market, right? Lisa wants to sell her house. She's been realistic. She's taken the lowest valuation and hasn't sold because all three of those agents are overvalued. And I'd say that the one that's overvalued at 500, if you've had no offers, then you should probably be thinking about cutting the price to 400,000 as a marketing price, which will make you draw a gasp of breath with horror. That should get multiple people through the door, because what it signals is you're serious about selling. You're not going to waste buyers' time with unrealistic expectations. You're serious about selling. You have to sell, but if you drop it like that, and if you remember my family with this story, this is what I'd be telling you to do. Put the price down at 400,000. What does that say? It says, I want to sell. I'm coming to the market. I want to sell. Check with your agent. They are very confident that will give you multiple viewings. They might say 425, whatever. If you trust the agent, go with what they say, not with what I say. Then you get buyers competing against each other. Then you find out what it's worth, and then you can decide if you want to accept it or not. That's all you can do. I mean, you've got to make sure the photographs are as good as they can be, etc. But to sit there for 9 months, you fall into that category of seller where I advise buyers to just go and offer 20% below, or something like that. Whatever that budget is. Tony G, what a good question. Why does it take 3 to 4 weeks after searches for a leasehold flat for a conveyancer making inquiries? This is because most conveyancers forget to order the search back, or they order it and it comes back and they forget that it's come back and they just file it. And this is why I always recommend and advise that buyers get their own search back. And when a conveyancer says to you, oh, no, you can't do that. It's got to be a lender-approved, regulated one. Yes, they're right, it has, but it doesn't have to be their one. And you can get one from me. And it will be copied to your solicitor. The solicitors will jump up and down and go, no, you can't. And you say, yes, I can do that. And the reason they said that is because they make money on it and they sort of make their money. But if you've got a rubbish conveyancer, hang on a second. Where's the link? If you've got a rubbish conveyancer, this does happen, and unnecessary delays happen. And these unnecessary delays can cause unnecessary and avoidable fall-throughs. Why can't I find the link? I can. Here it is. mhwc.co.uk/property-pack. And I will be doing a live stream with the boss of the firm that provides these again soon. Lisa says, we cannot afford to just give our house away. Selling your house at market price isn't giving it away, as painful as this is to deal with. It's just that is now the market value for your house. You don't have to take it. I don't know what your circumstances are. I don't know why you're moving. I can't remember why you're moving, why you need to move. I mean, I'm assuming maybe you're downsizing, you need to have enough money left over to buy your next house, etc. And if that's not measuring up anymore, this is why I have been advising downsizers for the last 2 years to not delay, because downsizing is going to get harder and harder and harder. It's not giving it away, Lisa. As long as you get competing bidders. If you've only got one buyer, then yeah, you might be giving it away. But if you've got competing bidders, it's never giving it away. Tin Alien, please tell me if it's Tin or Tina. Has another question. We are in a stable rental far longer than expected following a sale in 2023. Interest covering rent. Cool, well done. We are trying to buy, but have just had a problem survey on a house we were buying. We will continue to view. It's a problem survey meaning what? You don't want the property at all anymore, or you want to reduce the price and the seller won't do it. We will continue to view homes, but with the homes in our area, Bournemouth, dropping, should we either sit back or bid aggressively? It depends how much you want to move. I mean, if you're viewing, there's no point in viewing if you're not ready to offer when you find the right place. Be out viewing always. And if you find the price that you like, bid. I mean, it's not aggressive if your bid is the only bid and it's what you think no one else is going to bid more than that. That's just a bid. I'd keep out there. If you want, assuming that the desire is to end up living in a home you own again, be out viewing. Guys, I never ask the question thoughts. It's just too vague a question. I need to know. I will. Having said that, I'm now going to contradict myself, and I am going to answer Jamie's question next, which is, what are your thoughts on agents in general? Well, I have had agents as my clients for over 25 years, of all different kinds. I had most of London's bigger agents as clients at some point in the last 25 years, and clients around the country. Roughly speaking, when I say an agent is good, the metric I use to measure that is they sell most of what they list in a reasonable time frame with multiple bids. That is a good agent. Good agents are 10, maybe 15% of all agents. That's it. The rest, so the 50% with the lowest performance do not deserve to be in business, are shocking, are letting people down, and if I have anything to do with it, what I'm doing with Best Agent will end up making that bottom 50% of agents either massively improve what they're doing or quit and go. The other 35%, so the above 50%, but not the top 15%, these guys are just varying shades of okay. But this is general. I will finish up by saying two things. When you're choosing an estate agent to sell your house, you must choose your agent like your future depends on it, because it does. And when you are trying to work out which one to choose, there's only one question you really need to ask, which is, I know that the market will decide the price for my house, so I don't want a valuation. What I want to know is, what do you do that other agents don't do that will get me competing bids on my home? And watch as the rubbish agents squirm and stutter and stammer and gibber about portals. And as the good agents go, a sigh of relief. Oh my God, that's a great question. Let me talk you through exactly how I get competing buyers on your house. Michelle, do you have a question? It looks like you're leading up to one, but you haven't actually asked a question. Lisa Red from Webb says, if vendors are dreaming, Charlie darling, it's because Bridgeford's estate agents valued our house way too high. And now it's so frustrating learning much later that we won't achieve anywhere near that price. Yes, it is. And I feel for you. And this is why I am campaigning so hard for pricing transparency, so that people in your situation won't end up in this situation again. I really, really feel for you. And you know, you have grounds, if they overvalued your house, to make a complaint to the property ombudsman. And if you want to shake them into action to actually do some work and get you some bids, that's what you should say. So I think I'm going to make a complaint about the fact you overvalued my home. Oh, it is Tin Alien. Fantastic. Tin Alien, good to know. Shay asks a question I'm very happy to answer, which is, do you think we will ever get live house price data rather than the 6-month land registry lag? We know they have the data. Right. Yes, I do think we will get it. And I will show you where you're going to be able to find it when it comes, because it's going to be on my website. But also, it's not the land registry that has the data. The land registry has a big lag and they don't have all the data straight away. It takes them a while to process it. HMRC, on the other hand, does have all completion data within 2 weeks of completion, 100% of the market. And they could choose to publish their prices. And if they did, it would put an end to overvaluing. But here is where, in due course, I will be sharing with everybody real time, or very nearly real time, house prices data. Okay, at the bottom where it says exchanged price, add yours. Okay, this is going to be exchange prices for the whole country and the total number of prices we're getting there and the median and the average, and you'll be able to break it down. And this is my goal, is to bring transparency to the housing market, to break and stop the overvaluing happening and allow people to make better decisions on moving house and unlock the pent-up demand people have to move house. So happy to answer that question. Oh, that's a good question. Teberi Mesfin, apologies for not apologies. How do you attract a serious buyer in the one-bed flat market, even when you have reduced your price competitively below the price of most other similar units in the area? Okay, so apart from, I just today have been talking to an agent who really, really thought they'd priced this flat competitively, and it got nothing. And then they dropped it another 10%, and it's still got nothing. Where are you in the country, Tebra? I'm sorry about getting your name wrong. I'm sure I am. So a good agent will help you by working out whether or not you can improve the photography, improve the overall marketing information, the description, making sure that all of the best features of living in that flat are there. So there are some things you can do in terms of the presentation and the marketing. And that's all you can do if you've already done everything you can on price. Clement Moraski says, all this saber rattling and military funding pledges, does a wartime economy favor buyers or sellers? Sellers. Sorry, buyers, I mean. It's not good for sellers. PixelPav. I misread this. I thought it said, Charlie, I'm trying to buy a place and we'll have help from 2 grifters. I thought, oh, which grifters? Which grifters are those? 2 gifters. I got quotes from a few solicitors, and some of them charge around £400 to do financial checks on each gifter. Is this acceptable? I don't know. I think you need to ask other ones and find out why, and just get comparisons. They do have to do checks. That sounds like a lot of money to do a check to me. That does sound too much, too high. Ian says, question, buying a high-end house, which in the last 10 years had substantial building work. They won't supply any paperwork, including completion certificates, installation, warranties, etc. Sharp exit. Ian, have they said why they won't? They won't, or they can't? What are they saying? Are they just ghosting you when you ask that question, or are they saying we're not going to? Have they actually said no, we're not going to give the paperwork, or what's the actual answer? I wouldn't rush to answer this either one way or the other. It depends on how much you like the house. It depends on how long you're planning to stay. It depends if it's cash or mortgage. But what I would suggest is a full level 3 RICS structural survey. That's what I would suggest. They should be able to tell you anything and everything that's wrong, not just structurally, but also in terms of certificates and that kind of stuff. But I mean, yes, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. And if they are reluctant for you to have a survey, then yeah, just walk away. David Patterson, sorry. Hello, David on X, who's a landlord who says, "Hi, Charlie, I have a buy-to-let property with a tenant moving out in a few weeks. I want to sell, but the market in London for flats is terrible at the moment." Well, you're off to an advantage because the fact you already know that is good that you know that. Do you think I should try to sell empty and incur the risk of void period and all the associated costs? Or should I get a new tenant in and try to sell with the tenant in situ? If you sell it empty, your market is both other landlords and potential first-time buyers. If you sell it with a tenant in situ, you're ruling out any buyer other than a landlord. So for that reason, I would choose selling it empty, but I would just price it to sell. Like, you know what I mean by that? It's a silly phrase, but price it so the market knows you're serious about selling it. And if that doesn't work, stick it in an auction. That's my answer to that. Oh, Lisa, God, it's such a sad story about yourself. Only 3 viewings in a year. Oh no. Lisa says we went on at 550, then gradually kept reducing it. So you went with the highest valuation. Oh, it's such a sad story. Yeah, and you went with the highest valuation, mistake number 1, and then you slowly chased the market down, mistake number 2. Really is a cautionary tale. You're asking 400,000. What's the point? As we definitely can't sell for anything like that. If your home is, for example, going to sell for 435 or 440 or maybe 450, listing the marketing price at 400 will make that sale happen really quickly with competing buyers. Okay, if that's what it's going to sell for, I don't know. So that's why it's worth. And again, remember what I'm saying. Don't connect the asking price with what you're going to sell at. The two things have different. They're two separate things, right? Sticking on a 400,000. Well, you're not risking anything, are you? You don't have to accept any offers, so you're not at any danger of selling. You will then find out what the offers are. At the moment, you're just wondering what you're going to do. Do we have a future? Are we going to move? You've got no idea because you've got no offers. You must get viewings. Only then can you decide. Okay? And so if you price it at 400,000 and see what happens, then you can make a decision. Adan Muhazi says, "Hi, Charlie. Can you please say hi to my wife, fella?" Hello, Adan Muhazi's wife. nice to say hello. Stacy Garakos says, "Is it worth selling a leasehold property just to get away from leasehold to get a freehold? It means moving from a popular to an average area and to a property approximately 20 square meters smaller." I mean, I'm leaning towards yes. as an answer to that question. No service charges, no diminishing, shortening lease, no greedy freeholder. But it depends how much you love living there and how much less you'd enjoy living in the other place. So it's a difficult one to answer, because if you love where you live, and if you wouldn't enjoy living as much as in the other place, then I think it's more important to enjoy where you live. So sorry, I don't know if that helps or not. Jean-Marc says 400k is too cheap, as people will still knock you down. No, they can't knock you down if they're competing. This is what everyone needs to understand. Once you've got competing buyers, there is no knocking down at that point. The moment you've got two or more buyers bidding against each other, they are bidding against each other, not against your asking price. So I disagree with you, Mark, I'm afraid. Jean-Marc, you're wrong about that. Joel Webster. Hi, Charlie. Still no inquiries on my house after a week on the market. Agent hasn't contacted to discuss planning an agent switch and a price reduction. How effective do you think improved staging can be? Well, first of all, Joel, congratulations on being proactive about this. I would, the first step is worth doing is saying to the agent that you're on with, and say, you've got 7 days to get me some viewings or I'm leaving. Just tell them that, right? They might just actually pull their finger out and do something. But assuming that they're not going to, and you want to change, you should talk to whoever the next agent is. Ask the agent you're thinking of moving to how effective they think improved staging would be. Because without knowing exactly what the kind of property is and the budget and everything else, I can't answer that question. Generally speaking, staging can work. It just depends whether it's cost effective or not. Oh my God, Lisa, this story just gets worse and worse. Our current estate agent says he daren't lower it further, as we will get. That's just not up to him. It's so annoying when agents do this. Agents do what you instruct, and we will get knocked down anyway. Hang on a second. Didn't he value it at 500,000? If he did, then why is he saying it's going to get knocked down? You've got grounds for a complaint here. You'll only get knocked down if there's only one buyer. Then you will get knocked down. This is why. And this, I'm living the frustration I have all the time, which is I give people advice and they don't take it. Put it on at 400. You should get a stampede through the door, and you will find out what the market for the property is. There are no exceptions to this. It always works, provided you get that price right. It always works. You signal to the market, I want to sell. There will be more than one person interested in that house if you price it correctly, and if the agent does their job and makes sure it gets communicated out properly, right? And if you don't get offers enough to sell, you're no worse off than you are now. At the moment, you're just sitting, waiting, and agonizing, and you're in purgatory. Bring this to a conclusion one way or the other. Slash the asking price. Get people through the door on competing offers and see if the best offer is high enough for you to accept. And if not, then you've got to have a rethink. But don't do what you've been doing for the last year, which is just sitting, wondering and hoping if you're going to get a unicorn buyer out of nowhere that comes and buys your house. That's the worst thing to do. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And I do hope you will listen to me, Lisa. I really do. I'm really sorry for the situation you're in. And this is exactly why I hate the fact that agents overvalue and they shouldn't talk about house prices. Leslie Smith says, what is the current proportion breakdown between houses under offer and unsold properties? I can show you that hot off the press with Best Agents data. And we're the only house price index that shows this. There you are. This is England only. We've got the same for Wales. If you want Wales, scroll to the bottom of the page. Click Wales. If you want to go see this, by the way, it's bestagent.news. Right? So that's Wales. Let's go back to England. This is as of today. Is that yesterday, maybe? So the rate there is 3.9 unsold for every one that's under offer. Okay. So there are 138,000 homes sale agreed and 534,000 homes on the market showing for sale. And the median asking price of the unsold ones is 40 grand higher than the median price of the ones that are selling. And that has not changed all year. It skipped up to 343,000 and then skipped back down again to 340,000. I think it was a bit of an anomaly. All right. Yeah. Lisa says, we are apparently with award-winning agents. Yep. And this makes a mockery of the estate agency award systems. I was a judge on those awards once. And depending on which awards it is, there's one awards that is actually worthwhile called the Estes Award. But it's still, the bar is so low that agents who let you down at this can still win awards. It's not good. Glad it's sounding better. Guys, I need to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry for everyone's questions. Stephen Simmons' last question. Is an end of terrace house classed as a semi-detached or just a terraced? It's classed as a terraced. And it's a disadvantage of the others because it's structurally weaker. So you'd think it would be classed as a semi because it's only attached on one side, but actually no, it's an end of terrace. This is what it's actually called. I'm just so many questions I haven't answered. Guys, I'm so sorry. Please keep your questions coming. Ask them. Yeah, I hate leaving you guys dangling at this, but I'm afraid I've got to go. So, guys, again, if you're new here, in the description below this video on YouTube and everywhere else I can put it, is a link to my 2 videos for new followers, right? If you're a buyer or a seller, it's Charlie's 10 golden rules for home buyers and Charlie's 10 golden rules for selling a home. Start there. Start with those 2 videos. Each one's about 20 minutes long and 15 minutes if you play it at 1.25 times speed. So start there, but otherwise, make sure if you're buying or moving with a mortgage that you talk to an independent whole of market mortgage broker. I haven't said this for a long time because I start to think that it's obvious, but it does bear repeating. Even if you've got what looks like a good offer from a high street bank without a broker, why would I pay a broker? It's because you don't know what you're missing out on. And it's not about the rate. It's about the different products with different terms. Things like portability, if you're going to be moving again. Some lenders will allow you to have a 6-month gap between selling your old house and buying a new one and still keep the mortgage rate, stuff like that. That you've really got to look at a mortgage from a life situation point of view. Okay, whether or not you're expecting an inheritance or not, whether or not you're expecting pay rises or not, whether or not you're expecting your marriage to last or not, whether or not you're expecting kids or not. All of these things are factors that affect what mortgage you should take. And the high street lenders don't care. Hey, here's a great rate. Take our money. An independent broker does care. Now, don't just go to any independent whole of market broker. Make sure it's someone that you can trust, someone that you feel is putting your interests on an equal footing to their own. Okay. And when you get one like that you trust, it can be life-changing with the advice that you get from them. And if you can't find one that you trust, these guys here that I work with are guys I trust implicitly to give really good advice. They do put their customers first. Been working with them for years now. mhwc.co.uk/mortgage, and they'll be in touch with you. Same with conveyancing. Guys I've been working with have been almost faultless over coming up for 3 years, I think. So mhwc.co.uk/conveyancing. Make sure you are signed up for my. By the way, guys, I don't think there's going to be a 5 Fact Friday this week. There might, I think we might not have 5 Fact Friday at all this week, but I do a newsletter every week, mhwc.co.uk/newsletter. Sign up for that free newsletter. You guys get 5 Fact Friday first. And sometimes I won't do a video, but the newsletter will still come out. But this Friday, it's my birthday, and I'm going to be away, and I might just give myself the day off. But we'll see. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great one. See you on the next one. Remember, if you're selling, don't have a price. If you're buying, don't have a pay.